It's good to see my relatives here today. It's an important day for our Indian country. And to sit here and listen to all the talk this morning, all the good words that were said based on treaties. That's what I want to hear. Made me feel proud this morning to hear all that talk. And that's the route we need to go. Because without treaties, this organization would not exist. So we need to base our stance on the treaty. There's a treaty coming up, the 100th anniversary. Next month, actually. 1925. When the government agreed to take the Oglala tribe under its belt and protect it. And what are they doing today? They're choking us out. You know, I had a speech lined up here, but it probably bore all of you. Most of the time when I speak, I don't make pre-written speeches because I believe we need to speak from the heart. If this was a true consultation, I would have asked one of my tribal elders, or a number of them, to attend. Our spiritual leaders to attend. There would have been a buffalo robe right there with the Chinook on it. But today, for the record, I am here to listen to and listen only. This is not a true consultation. Meaningful consultation. And I hope you all understand that. So I challenge you, the great Ochete Shakoi, to take the word back to your people, your tribe, and let them know that we must take a treaty stand. If we interpret that treaty to today's standards, the United States government is guilty and at fault for all the wrongdoings they're doing to Indian country. And they know it. Why do you think they've been ignoring us for decades, centuries? They know what they did. You heard all the language this morning. You heard from some attorneys that recited some of the provisions in those treaties. So I think it's time to take that stand. We had our relatives from the south come out today, the east. They want to come join forces based on treaties because it's that time. It's that time. Our prophecies say it. Our elders say it. Our spiritual leaders say it. And for those of you who follow those ways, that's our law, spiritual law, the traditional laws. Right now, it's not being honored. You know, the future of our children depends on us and on us now. That's what we need to think about. That's what we need to think about hard. We need to think of our children, our children's children. We need to stand up like our ancestors stood up for us, fought for us, died for us. It was said here, and I always say this wherever I go speak, is that treaty is a living, breathing document. And it was proven. We proved it in court. In the Washichu world, we proved it. And that's the route we need to go. To me, our treaties have been violated, challenged, broken. And it's time to stand up and stand on it. Not behind it, stand on it. Because it affects us all. I know when I mentioned this to other tribal leaders, it's a little hesitant. I know we have to take it back to our councils. We have to take it back to our people. The council needs to take it back to their people. I'm a strong believer in grassroots. That's what carried me on my first administration and my second, now going on my second administration, is the people. We have to listen to the people. And Yochete Shakowing, that is our voice. So I challenge you to stand up, listen to your people. And let's move forward to the next challenge. That's going to be a huge challenge. But I believe it needs to happen. It needs to happen now. All these things we're saying, all these problems we're having with our programs. How many times did I testify in Washington, D.C., to TBEC? And I'm sure TBEC's pretty tired of me voicing on behalf of Indian country. But it's not going nowhere. I said this in testimony. You will have my written testimony. You have all these problems we face in Indian country. But one thing I did that really bothered me is every year we go to Washington, we sit down, listen, and get in line and testify. And I'm sitting there listening to all these tribal nations, these tribal leaders, throwing out the same problems, asking for more funding. Hell, I didn't see a damn thing change since I've been in office. So I took it upon myself to change it up, ask the questions back on them. You'll have my written testimony. We need to ask those real questions. What are you going to do to help us? because it's so frustrating when the conversation's one-sided, and we're on that side of the deaf ears. We need to change that. We need to take a stand. We're tribal nations. That treaty, Yogawa Sioux Tribe has 3 treaties. Some of you, maybe more, maybe less. It states it right in there. You know, I could recite something, and maybe I will. In section 12 of the IRA, in that it requires Indian preference in Indian services. But it also provides that the general civil service do not apply to the Indian service. But yet, we're losing BIA employees. We're losing IHS employees, BIE employees. Why is that when it says it right there in their own language? That's what I mean, a one-sided conversation. We are nations. We signed a peace treaty. We did not submit to this government, this United States government. And that's the frustrating part about it. As we can go and advocate time after time in Washington. I always say it's important for us to be there at the table because it involves funding. But they're just making us pitch pennies at each other, moving money around. Isn't that part of their against some of the regulations? You cannot move money? Well, look what they're doing. They're taking the money that they owe us and using it on us with the same funding source. So the treaty, if you think about it, it shouldn't affect us when it comes to risks, furloughs, government shutdowns, buyouts. That's not our problem. We made a treaty with you. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm against competitive grants because it makes us fight each other over grants. Well, not fight each other, but compete for grants, for treaty rights. That's a treaty right. It should go off based upon population, our membership, the size of our tribe, all those things that the data that's given to them or they take. Personally, that funding formula is crap. Because the government knows we are severely underfunded. It's inaccurate. Why do you think we're in court? How do we know? Because we proved it already. And we won. But the government still ignores us. But we took them back into court again. Rosebud did the same thing. So my relatives, that's what we need to do. For those of us that have treaties, we need to come together. We need to sit down with our government officials, leadership, and figure out how in the heck do we get our rights back? How do we get back to square one when we sat down with the United States government and signed that peace treaty, and they promised us to take care of us? For the use of our land. And for some of us that signed peace treaties, they broke the treaties by breaking their part of the agreement. Is that an act of war? To fight back? To fight back what is ours? How do we take that back? When those treaties are broken, we have to think like that. To me, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating when you fight for your people, and then when you go home to your people, there's so many problems there, and they wonder, what did you do for us? And it's really heartbreaking when you don't have answers for them, because we're so severely underfunded. We're so severely poor, under-resourced. We're severely, our resources is it's just unbelievable. And like the gentleman here was saying about some of the resources in public safety, is ridiculous. You try that off the reservation borders, they won't tolerate it. Why are we ignored? Why? I'll tell you why. Because we don't stand on those treaties. We don't hold the United States government accountable for the things they are doing to us. When I go to TBIC, we sit there, we prioritize our programs. Who do we need to fund first? With a pot of money that's just not suitable for Indian country. We're operating at 13% in law enforcement. 13%. I know when I go there, I speak for large tribes. My tribe, large tribes, of the difference between large tribes and small tribes, the funding resources. Who made that formula equation? I'd like to know. But those are some of the things that we need to stand on and address. Not just address, you gotta do something else. What do we do to get their attention to ensure that the safety of our children in the future are being met? Our tribes are protected, our lands protected. There's talk of MOUs, where tribes can get involved. We did one. We did an MOU, but the funding was frozen through this administration. And that came from the Great Plains tribes. We thought we had a good relationship. The MOU is still there, but not the funding. Why was the funding froze? We just lost a lot of opportunities between the United States government and tribes in the Black Hills. You mentioned, I heard conversations on docket 74. The reason I'm saying this is because it pertains to the Great Plains tribes. And I know Colt knows the data on how much percent of the large land-based tribes make up, and out of 576 tribes, and how much land large land-based tribes have that outweigh the rest. And it's unbelievable that these small tribes have more power than we do. That's another thing that we need to address, is that funding formula for TBEC. Why is it the tribe of 55,000 only have one vote? Why is it the Navajo Nation only have one vote? Why is the system set up that way where it defeats us? We have no control, no say-so when it comes to Indian countries. Because if you go to large land-based tribes and look at their reservation, you're gonna see our data being used at TBEC. You're gonna see our data being used by small tribes for funding. Where's the accountability in that? So we need to look at some things. We need to regroup, reorganize. But we all need to come together. So I challenge you, let's stand together. Let's stand as one, as a nation, the original landowners of this country. Because the United States government owes us. The United States government needs to live up to its treaty obligation and not just say it. I know I've said it in testimony in past. All the ranking members, they all verbally mentioned that, yes, the treaty obligations are not being met. And they admitted it, but they're not doing anything about it. No action. To this day, this hour, this minute, this second, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Again, I'm not going to read 4 or 5 pages because you said it all. I just wanted to come out and mention that The Oglala Sioux tribe does not consider this as a consultation. And I hope your tribe follows suit, because we need to take a treaty stance. We need to come together. Ochete Shakoya is one. We did it before. We came together. We stood as one. And that was just recent. So you know it works. And that's what needs to happen. So I challenge you, my relatives, pass the word. We need to go to the next step. In the future, we'll have talks of taking the next step. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing or repeating myself over and over and over and over, and not a damn thing happening. So with that, I want to say Wopila to each and every one of you who showed up today. Even our counterparts, the government. Because to me, this is already laid out. They're just going through the formalities. We can't take that. We can't submit to that. This treaty says it all. We need to stand on it. I don't know how many times I'm going to be saying that, but it's time. Oh, Wopila.